Welcome back, focused learners, to another explainer. Today, we're going on a seriously fascinating paradigm-shifting journey into the true esoteric blueprint of Aries energy. And let me tell you, it turns out everything we thought we knew about this sign might just be the tip of the iceberg. For so long, the popular narrative has basically been that this sign is just primitive fire, right? Just a stubborn ram driven by anger, impulsiveness, and literally an inability to finish anything. But as we dive in today together, we're moving way past those internet memes and pop astrology stereotypes to uncover the actual, actionable, mystical architecture at play here. We're about to see how this deeply misunderstood energy is actually the universe's ultimate engine of creation.
Okay, let's dive right into this curriculum. We'll be starting with the pop astrology lie, defining the universal first impulse, climbing the 3 levels of the warrior, examining shadows in the Libra axis, and finally looking at harnessing the Aries fire.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the pop astrology lie. Look, there are basically 2 completely different worlds of astrology out there. On one side, we have exoteric astrology. This is the stuff you see in magazine horoscopes and personality apps. It really just answers that basic question, who am I? Think of it like describing a physical car, the paint job, the interior, the engine. It's a nice portrait, but ultimately pretty useless for real growth. On the flip side, we have esoteric astrology. This system was originally a super precise temple science used by Egyptian priests and Greek mystics. And it doesn't bother asking who am I, it asks why am I? It focuses on the soul's chosen curriculum, the actual destination of that car. In this system, your sign isn't just some quirky personality trait, it's a very specific prism of energy that your soul actually chose to experience so it could evolve.
So in this esoteric tradition, Aries is definitely not about simple aggression. Aries is the first impulse of the universe. It is the electric fire, the initial explosion. You have to realize that the universe is naturally inert. It's lazy. For anything to actually begin, a monstrous release of energy is needed to tear open the void. If this primal spark of creation did not exist, literally nothing in the inert universe would have ever begun.
Moving right along to Section 2, the universal first impulse.
This concept beautifully builds our understanding of how you actually carry this energy on your life's path. If you have an Aries sun, think of it like your backpack. It is your mastered foundation, your starting capital from past experiences. It's your zone of comfort, meaning you already know exactly how to take risks and initiate things. But if you have an Aries ascendant, those are your future gates. That is your mission, the literal business plan for what you must become in this lifetime. And this creates a major, lifelong tension. Your sun constantly pulls you backward into what you've already mastered, while your ascendant pulls you forward into your required evolutionary mission. You really can't reach the mission of your ascendant until you've fully packed that foundational backpack of your sun.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful idea. Think about this. You are the first impulse of the universe. Imagine a pitch black, completely dark room. 100 people will just stand at the threshold, shining flashlights, drawing up probability maps, endlessly analyzing the risks. But the true Aries superpower is being the one who actually steps into that darkness. It's not just bravery, it's the sheer ability to initiate where everything else is dead. You are humanity's first step. You are the strike of flint against steel.
So that brings us to Section 3, 3 levels of the warrior.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this energy evolution is broken down into 3 distinct floors. It's not like you just stay stuck on one level. Down on the lower floor, which is ruled by Mars, you have the arsonist. This is the warrior of the body, a blind berserker just reacting to stimuli, getting into petty arguments in traffic or at the office, totally burning yourself out. But as you evolve and step up to the middle floor, ruled by Mercury, the illuminated mind, you become the leader. You're no longer wildly swinging a sword, you strike with the precision of thought, governing that intense energy through your intellect. Finally, on the highest floor, ruled by Uranus, you become the pioneer. You are the warrior of the spirit. You shatter walls, not for your own ego, but to serve the world, breaking open entirely new paths so others can walk into the light.
But climbing those evolutionary floors requires overcoming a pretty massive hurdle. The ancient myth of Hercules and the mares of Diomedes perfectly captures this fatal flaw. Picture this. Hercules, who represents that pure Aries energy, boldly charges in and captures these wild, fire-breathing horses. A massive victory, right? But then he makes a crucial, terrible mistake. Super proud of his initial win, he immediately delegates holding the horses to his young, inexperienced friend Abderes, just so he can go off and boast about his win. And the moment he turns his back, the horses break free, trample Abderes, and Hercules literally has to fight the exact same battle all over again.
Let's be real, this is exactly how that ancient myth shows up in your modern reality. Because you love the thrill of the launch but get completely bored by the maintenance, you end up creating what I call a graveyard of unfinished projects. You know what I'm talking about. Half-read books, unused subscriptions, abandoned online courses, and internet domains you bought at 3 a.m. and completely forgot about by Tuesday.
You catch an idea with this fiery momentum, you get that initial victory, and then you immediately hand control over to laziness or premature delegation. Winning is really only half the battle. Not letting go after the victory, that is your true labor.
All right, moving into Section 4, Shadows and the Libra Axis.
You've got to remember, every astrological sign is part of an axis, an electrical circuit with two opposing poles. Aries stands directly across from Libra. Aries is the I, the pure impulse that violently breaks through the wall. But Libra is the we, the equilibrium that negotiates on the other side of that wall. Your absolute greatest illusion is believing you can do everything alone, just because everyone else feels too slow. But the truth is, as the ultimate solo initiator, you desperately require the air of a Libra partner. They don't extinguish your fire at all. Instead, they provide the equilibrium to keep it burning evenly so it doesn't just explode and turn into ashes.
If you fail to integrate this axis, it leads directly to 3 major financial traps. Number 1, the all-do-it-myself syndrome, where a total lack of partnership ruins your long-term results. Number 2, making wild, impulsive investments based on pure, unanalyzed fire. And number 3, boredom spending, where you literally drain your accounts just to create the illusion of a thrilling new start. This creates an exhausting financial sine wave for you. You earn super aggressively in massive sprints and then drain it all the way the second the fire goes out. You absolutely need a partner to act as the pilot once you've launched the rocket.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Harnessing the Aries Fire. And this brilliantly illustrates the most shocking truth about this energy. Get this. Through Aries flows the first ray of will, but also the 7th ray of ceremonial order. Sounds like a total contradiction, right? The most chaotic sign actually requires strict order. But if you look closely at your life, behind your outer chaos hides a deep, deep need for ritual. Maybe it's a specific sequence of actions, or a certain playlist you absolutely have to hear before a big task. If someone disrupts your warm-up, your whole day just falls apart. The 7th ray is ritual, and ritual is the structured furnace that takes your chaotic wildfire and focuses it into a directed 1,000 times more powerful laser beam.
So to actually build that furnace in your life, we use a super practical 3-step activation protocol. Step 1, your morning impulse. Before you even touch your phone, you speak your specific mantra out loud while standing up. This intentionally launches your day through the intellect of Mercury rather than the reactive anger of Mars. Step 2, the evening filter. Right before sleep, write down the one true impulse from the day that is actually worth continuing. This is crucial. It separates the signal from the noise. If you don't write it down, it was just noise. Step 3, the weekly axis check. Once a week, sit down and ask yourself, where did I need someone beside me, but I stubbornly went alone instead? And what exactly is that morning mantra you need to speak? It is this ancient code inscribed right into the geometry of the sign. I come forth, and from the plane of mind, I rule. Notice something here? There's absolutely nothing about attacking or fighting. The lower Aries says, I want and I take by force. But the higher Aries says, I govern reality through the power of my illuminated mind. When you say this mantra, you're actively stepping onto that middle floor, using your mind as a precise scalpel rather than a clumsy sledgehammer.
Well, we've reached the end of our explainer today, and I want to leave you with a really big question to chew on. You are not a steady, calm flame. You are lightning. The world literally does not start without you pressing the button. So the choice is entirely yours. Will you remain the blind berserker, constantly burning yourself out in petty little daddles, or will you build your furnace, find your equilibrium, and ignite the first impulse as the architect of the universe? Apply these tools, take control of your fire, and I'll see you in the next explainer.